So we have important developments in the battle to end the NFA's suppressor restrictions. This comes after the Trump DOJ shifted its position and admitted that suppressors are protected arms under the Second Amendment. But despite that shift, the DOJ is still defending the NFA. And now the Fifth Circuit has made a move that raises the stakes even higher. They've refused to pause their ruling against the individual here in this case, even though it's now currently heading to the Supreme Court in just a couple weeks. So let's break down what is happening in this critical case. Now, before we jump into this video, if you want to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is simply to subscribe. You can also click the like button. Just clicking the like button tells the algorithm that you appreciate this type of content, and so it shares it to more people. I also want to thank one of the main supporters of this channel, which is 1st Phorm. You guys know that 1st Phorm's an amazing company, pro-freedom, pro-America, and also they have amazing supplements. So if you have a New Year's resolution and you're trying to get healthier, I highly recommend some of their products. Right now, I'm also trying to lose weight. I've lost about 18 pounds since the beginning of this year, and a lot of the supplements that I use come from 1st Phorm. So again, check them out using the links down below. And if you order any supplements, you can get a free 5-pack of protein sticks. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about a critical case called U.S. versus Peterson, which challenges the constitutionality of the NFA as it applies to suppressors. Originally, a 3-judge panel in the Fifth Circuit ruled that suppressors are not arms and therefore are not protected under the Second Amendment. Then the Trump DOJ decided to change course in this case and actually conceded that suppressors are in fact protected arms. That caused the original opinion in this case by the Fifth Circuit to be withdrawn, but when the panel decided to reevaluate this case and reissue a new ruling, they still upheld the NFA despite that pivot that happened by the Trump DOJ. This time, the Fifth Circuit ruled that even if suppressors are in fact protected arms, the NFA's restrictions survive under Bruin and that scrutiny because the system operates like a shall issue permit scheme, which is permissible, they believe, under Bruin. And that is the key move and issue here now in this case. Essentially, the Fifth Circuit is saying that the NFA operates as a shall issue permit. After that ruling, Mr. Peterson sought en banc panel review in the Fifth Circuit. The Fifth Circuit denied it, but then they went even further. They issued the mandate, meaning that essentially they said that the ruling here in this case would take effect. Now, Mr. Peterson then decided to file an unopposed motion to stay the mandate while he prepares his Supreme Court petition because he told the court he's going to take this to the Supreme Court. Even the Trump DOJ did not oppose the stay of the mandate here because of the impact it would have on Mr. Peterson. But ultimately, the Fifth Circuit denied that stay. The order here by the Fifth Circuit was very blunt. It simply said that the unopposed motion to stay issuance of the mandate pending cert is denied. That means that the Fifth Circuit was willing to let this decision go into full effect immediately and expose Mr. Peterson to prison time, even though he told the court that he was going to take his case to the Supreme Court. Now, this wasn't just some procedural housekeeping. If the mandate went into effect, Mr. Peterson would potentially have to report back to prison even while he was seeking Supreme Court review. That concern was raised to the Fifth Circuit, but ultimately they denied the stay and they just simply didn't care. Fortunately for Mr. Peterson, the district court stepped in and allowed him to remain on bond while he prepares his cert petition and while he prepares for his case to go to the Supreme Court. He will remain a free man pending Supreme Court review, but the Fifth Circuit's refusal to pause the mandate is significant and shows that they really just were not willing to consider this or really even do the right thing while this case was going to the Supreme Court. Now, for those unfamiliar with this case and why it's so critical, this case kind of began back in 2022 when federal and state law enforcement officers executed warrants at Mr. Peterson's Louisiana property. The search involved ATF agents and approximately 50 other officers. There were allegations related to his gun store and those operations, but the Second Amendment issue in this case revolves around one item: a single solvent trap treated as a suppressor under the NFA. Mr. Peterson moved to dismiss the charge based on the Second Amendment, but the district court denied that motion. The Fifth Circuit originally sided with the then Biden DOJ, and then after the DOJ kind of changed over and went into the Trump administration changed their position on suppressors, and they said that they are in fact actually arms under the Second Amendment, but the panel still on re-review upheld the NFA, saying that this operates as a shall issue permit. And that's really the controversial part in this case. The Fifth Circuit held that the NFA suppressor regime is constitutional because it operates like a shall issue permit system. They relied on Bruin dicta, specifically from Justice Kavanaugh's language, suggesting that objective shall issue licensing regimes may be in fact permissible. The panel treated the NFA's tax, fingerprinting, background check, and registration requirements as an objective permitting process that is, they say allowed under Bruin. And that is a significant kind of doctrinal move that they are now trying to apply that Bruin shall issue permit issue revolving around concealed carry permits to now the NFA process. And that is very concerning because if that logic stands, it now suggests that any objective permitting system restricting protected arms may be constitutionally acceptable. And that is why this ruling is so significant, and that is why this case is now heading to the Supreme Court. This case is no longer just about suppressors, it's whether the NFA can survive by trying to say that it's a shall issue permit system, which is allowed under Bruin. The Fifth Circuit's holding now stands for that proposition, and essentially they say that as long as the government structures these restrictions objectively, even on protected arms, it may pass constitutional scrutiny. That could impact not just suppressors and just the broader NFA framework, but also potentially impact other types of firearms and other items that the government potentially would want to regulate by saying, well, this is just simply a shall issue permit. Mr. Peterson now has until March 9th, I believe, to file his petition for writ of cert to the Supreme Court, which means in just a couple weeks, a critical suppressor and NFA challenge will once again be in front of the Supreme Court. But now this one is a little bit different because this case revolves all around Bruin and how far Bruin actually extends with the whole shall issue permit language, and if that can be applied to other types of schemes like the NFA. The stakes are very high in this case, not just for suppressor regulation, not just for the future of the NFA, but also this will impact Mr. Peterson personally, because if he loses this case, he is facing serious prison time. So this is a critical moment. We will now see if the Supreme Court decides to step in to address the whole Fifth Circuit framework and idea that the NFA operates as a shall issue permit. So that's where this suppressor challenge currently stands. The Fifth Circuit upheld the NFA, the restrictions on suppressors. They denied en banc panel review. They denied the state of the mandate, exposed Mr. Peterson to potential prison time, but the district court stepped in, protected him in the interim, and now this case is going to the Supreme Court in just a couple weeks. So as we get more information, as it develops more, I will let you guys know. If you like this video and you'd like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is simply to like, comment, and subscribe. All of those things help to fuel the algorithm and just tells the algorithm that you appreciate this type of two-way content, and so it shares it to more people. But as always, thank you so much for all of your support, and never forget this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.